How's everybody doing? My name's Augie with VIP Playlist. I'm here with my co-host,
What's up, guys? It's Adam.
and today we have musician, TikToker, beat social media influencer, I guess. You want to introduce yourself and what you do?
Yeah. My name is Tyler Morris. I am otherwise known as Tired Violence. Um, and yeah, I have a solo music project under the name Tired Violence, and another band called Unsafe, Unsound. Um, and yeah, I post goofy videos on the internet, and in an attempt to try to funnel people into listening to my music. And yeah, that's really about it.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude. I came across your videos first on GKE, Ghost Killer.
Oh yeah, yep.
That's where I found out about it. That was that was a while back too. So
Yeah,
that's what's up, man. If y'all haven't checked out his videos, you can go to TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere and check them out. They're pretty funny. Old scene kid videos for the elder emos, I guess.
yeah. It's Ghost Killers. They've been great. They were a place that I obviously admired from a distance for a long time as just a listener of music in this scene and stuff. And then, yeah, it was cool to get picked up by them. Very very shortly into I guess like my career in Tired Violence. So yeah, they've been
Yeah.
good to me.
So before like TikTok and everything, were you still making videos like that just on different platforms or
No,
no? So
not really.
TikTok was
No.
just that was just it, right?
Yeah. So what's weird is like, so growing up, like I knew I wanted to be like an entertainer. Like I wanted to be like a musician. Like I really wanted to be like a rock star. Like when I was like a really small kid. Like my first favorite band was Kiss. Um, so I always wanted to be like really out there
Nice.
performing music and stuff.
Yeah,
Because
the
my
top.
dad,
Yeah.
yeah, my dad was a musician. So he was a big influence on me, a big proponent of this. And then yeah, I also really loved comedy, and I was a big like class clown type person and stuff like that. And it got to a point where I kind of saw the shift in the music industry and the wave of kind of everything going like digital and whatnot. Like, we went from CDs to streaming and all that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then I kind of, was I wouldn't say early, but kind of just on time to the like, hey, I should start utilizing like TikTok. I should start utilizing Instagram,
Yeah.
whatever. And
Yeah,
I
you
hit it at the
adopted it.
right time, you know.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
so yeah, it worked out because I had just kind of started Tired Violence, and I started it because a band that I had made prior, which is called Misgiving. Um, it kind of fell apart a bit.
Hmm.
And so I didn't really know what to do with my life after Misgiving just kind of had stopped because I really wanted to keep doing music. I'd kind of gotten a taste of it. I had finally broken into my local scene and stuff like that after a long time of trying. I'd finally, built up the confidence to basically try to tackle doing it on my own. And so I started Tired Violence, and I started the TikTok stuff and everything, and everything just kind of worked out from there.
Yeah. Well, that's what's up, man. And Misgiving was how would you describe that, I guess? Because I'm listening to it, it's definitely on the lines of like old woe is me
Dude,
type
that's so
stuff.
funny. I think my old guitarist would like he would love to hear that, dude.
Yeah.
Like, Woe Is Me is one of his favorite bands, and one of his biggest influences. His other big influences, like Moths to Flames.
Got you.
Um,
Okay. Okay.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
yeah, so like he was really into that sort of stuff. And then we had another guitarist, who we picked up for our second EP, who was like really big into more of like the emo post-hardcore sort of stuff. So when they kind of meshed their styles together, we got this kind of like melodic metalcore sort of sound. But then me, I'm really big into like kind of blending those sort of things, and meeting somewhere in the middle. Like my favorite band is Under Oath, and I also love bands like Seosin, Silverstein. stuff like that. So my vocal delivery is much more, on the cusp of things like those.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it just yeah, Misgivings definitely, like you said, I feel like it fits that mold of a band from like the 2008, 2010 metalcore sort of era, but I feel like it almost has like a timeless sort of feel where it
Yeah.
still kind of feels modern and it doesn't feel dated.
Yes, and like I think the description in Spotify, it does it justice. It says the band is often described as nostalgic yet modern. I think that's
Yeah.
that does it justice for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's a very
definitely agree.
nostalgic and modern sound because like you hear all of our influences, but we still tackled our songwriting and production approaches from a modern perspective.
Yeah,
So it was fun. I love
nice.
that band. Honestly, our second EP, Resolve, is one of the bodies of work that I'm the most proud of anything I've ever done. Like we got a bunch of physical copies of CDs, and I took one and bought like a frame, and I actually have it framed like on my
Nice.
wall and like my
That's really
studio and stuff
cool.
that I work in because I just
So
very much like that was for me kind of like my big, I don't want to say big break or anything, but that's the EP that got me the furthest in my local scene,
Yeah.
and to start gaining recognition and stuff as an artist and everything. So I owe a lot to that EP.
I watched the music video. I think it was for Absolution.
Absolution, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that was a really really well done music video.
thank you. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
done by a guy named Alex Hyder. He, as far as I know, I think lives out in Atlanta now. He's done some crazy good videos. Really cool guy. What's funny about that video though is the little girl in that video is actually my daughter.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and we we instead of hiring like actors and all this stuff, we were really trying to because we were like a broke ass band, dude. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh
Like
yeah.
we a bunch of like 20 something year old dudes like trying to make it. So we paid like I think it was like $1,000 for the video. We all pulled together money, and dude, so much stuff happened. Like our drummer got pulled over or like on the way there, and like had like weed in his vehicle,
Oh
but like
shit.
the cops like didn't do anything about it. Like they just pulled him over, and he got he was okay, and he like got to make it to the shoot. But we were like freaking out, like what are we gonna do if like we don't have a drummer? And like we had to like empty out a bunch of beer bottles, but for the video to like make it look like an addict, in like an old seedy motel room. But
Yeah.
um of course they didn't want to waste them, but I don't drink. And so like the drummer and the director and like, the drummer's girlfriend and stuff like that, they're all just like trying to like drink these like while we're trying to film. Um and it was just it was interesting. The drummer also hadn't really learned the song yet because like to be candid, like the drums were programmed like for the
Yeah.
album, like
okay.
because we just didn't have the money to do live drums. So we had gotten all those songs done and the drummer was just learning them at practices, until we got to play shows. Um, and so he hadn't really learned the song all the way through yet. So yeah, like the dude really just did a good job of like, his camera work to make it look like you couldn't really tell. He had the
Yeah.
gist of the song and a majority of it down. So like you can't really tell. But yeah, he hadn't entirely learned it yet. We don't have a bassist in the video because he had unfortunately had to leave the band prior. So we're missing a bassist. The walls in the hotel room, quote unquote, it's not even a motel, it's an office space where the director's dad worked. And like he was like, yeah, nobody's there on Saturdays, so you can use this room. So we cleared it out and got a bunch of like brown construction paper to stick on the walls to make it look like a seedy motel room.
Oh god, that's
Um,
awesome.
the bed wasn't a real bed. It was two coolers with a piece of plywood on top of it and just blankets and stuff covering
Oh
them.
shit. That's
But
fucking
the
nice.
coolers were empty. And my wife, she was pregnant, like, with our first child at the time. And she like was just sitting, like laying behind the bed, just like holding it so it wouldn't move during like the filming scene. It's crazy. We did so much stuff for that video, man.
That's
But
awesome.
all the scenes where it's dark, we had to film outside, and it was like freezing outside. We barely had any light, and there's a point where I had to go running somewhere, but we couldn't move because there was like a spotlight, and it would have messed up the lighting. So I had to just run in place to pretend I was running. There's a lot of like goofy behind the scenes stuff.
You got
It's the magic of filmmaking, really.
Good thing you had them acting skills, huh?
Thanks, man. Yeah. It was fun though.
Yeah.
My daughter did everything in one take, and she just kind of like nailed everything. Like, took direction really well. I think she was only like, I want to say she was like 4 or 5 at the time. So it just worked out really, really well. I was super stoked. But
yeah.
That's so awesome, Misgiving. Love that project to death.
Yeah, definitely go check them out for sure. If y'all haven't listened to them yet, they're pretty sick.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Listen up, all you VIP peers.
VIP players.
Goddamn Patreon now.
It's so aggressive.
I did.
We have a Patreon now.
Yeah, motherfuckers.
And a Discord.
Yeah.
And a YouTube.
Discord. Come
but
join
no webcams yet.
No webcams. You can't see our beautiful face.
Not yet.
Yeah. Shout out to Enormous Adam on Discord. Hit him up if you need a Discord. He did a great job on ours. It looks cool. But guess what? You won't know how it looks unless you join that bitch. If you would, please join our Discord and our Patreon. It would be really cool of you. We would love you forever. We'd still love you forever, even if you don't.
Yeah. But you join the Patreon, you're going to get stickers. You get to dehumanize me.
Yes.
You want to know what that means?
Go look at the Patreon. Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. And subscribe to our fucking YouTube channel.
Yeah. Comment.
Thank you.
Review. Subscribe. We love you more.
All that stuff. Do everything that you do for all the people that you love on YouTube. Do it for us too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We love you.
Let's get into this playlist real quick, man. Anything you want to name it?
Sure. Let's name it Weenie Hut Juniors.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Dude, is that two SpongeBob's?
It is.
Let's go.
The last one was Mermaid Man and the Barnacle Boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
I'm so excited.
I'm actually wearing SpongeBob shorts right now, too.
Hell yeah, dude. We're all where we're meant to be right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everything's falling into place. So the first band you mentioned was Kiss. Let's get some Kiss on there, man.
Sure, why not? So I think initially, of course, like the probably one of the first songs that comes to mind is like Cold Gin. Like I think that song, like I love the guitar riff in that song. I feel like especially for that time period, it was just kind of like an especially heavy guitar riff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that song's pretty cool.
Heck yeah, dude. That's not one we get all the time either. So that's a good deep cut right there. And you said your dad was really big into music. So the first couple of songs we like to put on there is like just your first memories, man, of your parents listening to music around you, stuff like that. They were showing you music. So just any other artists like that?
Yeah, actually. This is a really, really, I love this actually. There's a song called, I think it's Don't Close Your Eyes by a band called Kix, Kix. That is like one song I remember like really liking as a kid.
I feel like
Cereal.
Someone's mentioned them before, yeah, but I could be wrong.
I don't know. I don't remember. But I mean, when you do a lot of these,
That's true.
It's hard to remember everything. But yeah,
that's true.
Oh yeah, dude. Kix. Okay. So we got Kiss and Kix. Is there anything? So are those both from your dad?
Yeah, for sure.
Is there anything like from your mom that she would show you or anything?
My mom wasn't too like. I mean, she was very into music, but I wouldn't say she was very big, like very influential so much on my music taste. She was more into like country and gospel and like stuff like that.
I got you.
So she was Augie's mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think if there's anything that I mean, because like I would say like I liked some of that music, but like I don't think it necessarily super influenced a lot of like what I do now.
Yeah.
Sure. Good, man.
Yeah.
That's where that What Hurts the Most cover came in, huh?
Yeah. So I will say that like that definitely, like, I mean, that song was cool. But yeah, I wouldn't say that necessarily came from her though. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would say like but dude, all my like my older family on my mom's side, and like even on my dad's side, like there was a lot of country and stuff coming around. Like,
Yeah,
and so
I
I
feel
was
that.
never one of those people. I mean, I'm sure I was like to be edgy and try to fit in and be cool. Like, oh, I don't like country because it sucks, and I like metal. But like realistically, like I've never hated country. Like,
Yeah. I'm not a fan of it just because there's two main forms of music where I live, and it's butt rock and
Mhm.
country, and that's it. And
You're right.
it gets
dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm
so
gonna be real with
old.
you. Like, I will get down to some butt rock. I'm not even
Yeah,
gonna lie to you.
yeah, yeah.
Like, I
I
really
mean,
will.
I like the classics. I love the classics.
Yeah,
And dude, and old Nickelback still slaps, dude, to this day.
yeah. All right. I mean, we're cool here. It's a safe space. You know what I mean? Like,
No judgments passed
No
here.
judgments, man.
no, I mean, 100%. Like, I will get down to some old Nickelback songs. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie to you.
dude, yeah, yeah, that shit slaps, dude. On the radio, just cruising. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it.
No, but that's literally like the only forms of music down here. We so here we go. I'll bring this up. We did have a scene for a little bit back in like
Okay.
2005, 2005 to like 2008. I don't know if you remember a band called A Bullet for Pretty Boy.
Yep, I do.
Yeah, they're from our town. That's where we're from.
Mhm.
Okay.
And we watched them probably 15 times. Just every time they put on a show, we were there. But that was before they got
Yeah, on the
signed.
weekends. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I wanted to know. So our town went through a phase where all the metalcore post-hardcore shows were thrown at a church. Was that an
Yeah.
everywhere thing, or was that just like a here thing?
So there was it's not just there,
Okay,
but
okay.
I think that specifically I know like there was a big scene for it in Florida.
Yeah,
And I would assume there's probably like a big scene for it like in the Midwest and stuff, but it's usually like in more of like the southern like states for
yeah,
sure. Yeah, there was just like a whole from like 2000. I mean, probably even before then, but I specifically remember from around like 2003 or 2004 ish to like 2008, 2010, somewhere around there,
yeah.
even maybe a little bit later. But like specifically this like Christian post-hardcore Christian metalcore boom, like Solid State and
Thank
Tooth
you,
and Nail
Solid State.
Records.
Yeah.
Yep, like dude, 100%. Like, I mean, I was super into this. Like, I
Oh yeah,
wasn't a very religious person, like, but my favorite band is Under Oath, and like,
yeah,
even though
Right.
I, didn't necessarily connect with like the messages of like God and stuff like that, like, I still, it's weird to say this, but it's like that sort of stuff made me feel comfortable, even though I wasn't super religious. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
I never really felt super comfortable in like churches or anything or around religious people. But then like the message of deliverance and stuff like that that I got from this form of music actually made me be like, like this is kind of nice,
yeah,
And I was like, yeah, it did make me feel like, like this is cool. I can deal with this. And I know some people got upset and was like, it's too preachy. I want to, go to a show. I don't want to go to a sermon or whatever. But honestly, like I kind of always appreciated it to an extent. So
yeah. I think
yeah.
that's one thing that Under Oath did really well was they were able to appeal to everybody, not just
Mhm.
like you have your
Right.
bands like Reliant K and like MXPX and things like that who are appealing
Mhm.
to a certain types of Christian folks,
Yeah.
where Under Oath was able to appeal to everybody, regardless if you're a Christian or not. So that's one thing that they
Mhm.
did right.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I listened to them, Norma Jean,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
The Devil
Jane.
Wears Prada,
Mine
yes.
too.
um, Attack Attack. Like, it was just like all these bands.
When I look at your Spotify page, you have your influential inspiration playlist,
Yeah.
and one of those bands we actually saw early 2008 in a church, and it's Sky's Airplane for that Everything
Oh,
Perfect on
yeah.
the Wrong
Dude,
Day
honestly,
in a
they are
church.
one of my biggest influences. And I know they came from, I think it was like Fort Worth,
Yeah,
Texas.
Fort Worth. Yeah,
Yep, dude, I love Sky.
that was
So
right
much.
before they
Same here,
blew up. That was right before they blew up, and
Mhm.
like they showed up in this little bitty van, late as fuck. they all hopped out, was like rushing to get on stage. It was a battle of the
Yep.
bands at a church in the mall. And they got on stage and I was blown the fuck away.
Dude, they're so good.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing. That was probably like one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I love them, man.
Yeah.
I think that they're definitely like kind of like an unsung hero of that like era.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Like I think that like they don't really get enough credit. I think they were super good. They just dropped nothing but heat like the entire time that they were putting out music,
Yeah.
and yeah, I just feel like they're never they. I know people talk about them, you know what I mean, and I know like people know of them, but
Yeah,
I
they're
just
not
don't think
mentioned
that they're
nearly
in the
enough.
conversation enough. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I mean, it's been a really long time though, so I guess I just kind of faded into history sort of thing,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Not if I have anything to say
No,
about it.
same here, dude.
Yeah,
Trust
man.
me.
We remember, okay. There's one more thing I want to bring up and then I'll pass it back to Adam, but
Yeah.
you kind of fit the 2005 to 2010 stereotype. And
Oh, 100%, dude.
what I want to say about that is like you're very tiny with a very
am.
powerful voice.
No, dude, I am. I am the like quintessential like
2005 to 2010
and I say this
post-hardcore
term
vocalist.
lovingly. I say this term lovingly because like and I say it like only because one of my old band members like used to describe me this way. But he was like, "You are like the quintessential like emo twink vocalist," and like he was right. Like I totally am. Like I weigh like 120 pounds. I'm 5'3". Like
Yeah.
I'm super tiny, but then yeah, I have like a very like big voice. So
Yeah.
I totally fit that stereotype.
I know. I remember me and Adam used to talk about it all the time. It's like, what's with these little bitty dudes and their
All the
powerful
small guys
fucking
are the ones with
voices?
the powerful voices.
Dude,
Yeah.
100%, man. And I love that though. I
Yeah.
love the fact that there was like it gave me as somebody who didn't feel very like represented or
Mhm.
anything like that, like it made me feel like I could identify with something that felt powerful, that felt like it's gonna sound weird to say, but like useful.
Yeah.
Because like dude, like when you look at like people like me and stuff like that, like you grow up like you're very bullied, you're very like ostracized, like no girls really want anything to do with you for a very long time until like
Yeah.
you start hitting like mad awkward phases and stuff like you're not getting picked for sports. You kind of end up becoming a majority of the time like put into not put into, but you usually join these communities where it's like you're either in your room like hanging out on like online message boards or
Yeah.
playing like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon with your friends, which is literally me. Like I was that my entire like childhood growing up,
Hey,
and
I
so
played Yu-Gi-Oh. Nothing
Adam.
wrong
oh,
with that.
dude, Yu-Gi-Oh's fire. So like that was me, and I wasn't very like cool or popular. I didn't really have like this huge group of friends, and it was like all of a sudden like a switch like flipped in like late middle school, early high school, and then all of a sudden like I just kind of met like with a bunch of other people. Like I was getting into
Mhm.
the music scene more and all this stuff, and then I see all these vocalists and stuff who are these like tiny dudes who are delivering these powerful messages and making a difference in people's lives, and it was just like this feels like I could be useful for something.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So it was
sure,
really
man.
It gives you a place. Like
Yeah.
I think we can all relate to some extent. Augie and I never were performers, but it definitely gave you
Yeah.
a space where you felt like, yo, like I don't feel weird here.
Yeah.
At shows and everything, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, shows, and even just the friend group, like in high school, like or whatever.
Yeah.
You just kind of were like, dude, everyone here is like really cool, really nice. Like, not assholes.
Everyone here is just as awkward as I am, so
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird though because I never, saw it that like I was always very socially awkward, like very like I tried to pretend to like not to be, and I tried to pretend to be very confident and stuff. But just like I'm sure everybody else, like I was very uncomfortable in my own skin, especially at that age. Very
Yeah.
like overthinking everything. It's like I'm not unique for feeling that way. I mean,
No,
everyone
yeah.
felt that way, but it was like I found it hard. I found it hard to. The one thing I always thought people thought other things than me than what they actually did.
yeah.
And so it was just like, oh, like these people probably think this about me when I'm, not around or whatever. They probably talk this about me. And it wasn't until I got older that I realized like no one is doing that. Like no one freaking cares. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I'm not occupying these people's, brain when I'm not around. Like they have their own lives, their own thoughts, their own whatever. In a weird way, I felt very like worthless and self-conscious, but at the same time, almost like egotistical to believe that like people would be thinking about me that much.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. I feel you. That's high school was a weird place, man. I don't
Oh,
remember a lot of it,
100%.
but I
It
was
was
Me
asleep for
neither.
like 90%
horrible,
of
dude. It
it.
was
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it did. The scene like was just like music was really important to me like my whole life. And
Yeah.
once I got into this genre of music specifically, I don't know, something just fell into place and something just clicked. And
Yeah.
I even if I didn't feel comfortable around other people or I didn't feel like I could trust people or whatever it was, like I felt like comfortable like in this music and like I felt like it made me feel whole and complete and stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
See,
mean
that's
that's what forged our friendship, Augie. Before
yeah.
anything, before then,
Before anything, yeah, it
then
was music.
we started getting to know each other, of course. But yeah, that's kind of how we got linked up. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I am extremely thankful because shortly after, like when a Bullet for Pretty Boy got signed, they did a signing show down here, and they
Mhm.
brought in Emery to headline
Mhm.
that show.
Oh, Emery's so good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like right after that happened, it disappeared, the entire music scene. But I was already out of high school when that happened, so I
Gotcha.
am extremely thankful for that short, like 5 years span of like being able
Yeah.
to go to local shows, even if none of the bands ever went anywhere. Like
Yeah.
it was still a place to like, because I don't think the kids nowadays around here have that. They don't have the
They don't
shows
have
that me and
anything.
Adam had. Yeah,
Yeah.
like if they want to
Well,
go to a
everything's
show, yeah,
different now, man.
yeah,
It
yeah,
is. Everything's
And
different to the extent of like
yeah.
you're the way we consume music back then was so different.
It
The
really
yeah,
way
was.
that the way and I'm not and I don't mean to say this like oh kids these days don't appreciate it, but I think we
Sure.
had a different level of appreciation for it, or we just appreciated it in a different way. Like
yeah,
we were actively like
It
on
wasn't as
LimeWire
accessible.
yeah,
yeah,
Like it was, but it wasn't, if that
yeah,
makes
we were on like
sense.
LimeWire and MySpace and all these things. We were tracking out all these underground bands and everything. And
yeah. You
now,
had to
like,
borrow CDs from your friends and then like hope
yeah,
they gave them back. Like,
yeah,
Or maybe they
dude,
broke your copy of
yeah,
the Devil Wears Prada.
yeah.
like
Who did
destroying
that?
family
Who did that?
computers with like viruses.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
But it was just like a different time period. And like now I can open up TikTok and scroll through and see, five different like underground artists that have, very small followings in like a very short time period. And they have a different level of production, a different level of like like ease of access to recording, like all this other stuff. So it's gonna sound weird to say this, and I don't want to sound like too like boomerish or whatever, but it's like I feel like there was a level of like craftsmanship and like passion and stuff like that, like that came from these almost like garage band esque
yeah,
like sort of
Mhm.
groups that I feel like doesn't. I'm not gonna say doesn't exist, but is like a minority now
yeah,
in like this space of music creation and stuff like that. And
I,
more of these people just kind of can put together something and craft it and just throw it out really quick. And I
yeah,
think more people are trying to, and I don't want to use the term manufacture, but almost like mass produce singles to
yeah.
just keep pumping content out as fast as they can.
Yeah,
And
they get
it
overlooked.
seems
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
I think it's like the amount. So like I don't know if there was this many bands when we were
Mhm.
growing up, like local bands or whatever, when we were growing up.
Mhm.
But I know there is a lot of bands now. There's a lot of music to listen to. It's like,
I think it's even easier, and this might be the dumbest thing I've ever said, but I feel like
No,
even the tools used to write, record,
yeah,
like
Mhm.
that's just way more accessible than it was back. Like back
yeah,
then, you
like
actually had to
find
put
somebody
some
who knew how to
real
do this
fucking
shit.
money into
Yeah,
this shit,
yeah,
or
Yeah, no,
you risk
everything's
sounding
so
like
easy.
ass. Now,
Yeah.
dude,
You
like
have FL Studios
could-
in Ableton and
yeah, you can just do whatever.
fucking GarageBand
Uh,
on your phone on iPhones. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
everything
just
is so
the
accessible
tools
now.
are so
Yeah.
much more accessible. The
Yeah, which is
YouTube
great.
videos of how you can just learn how to do it all on your
Yeah.
own, probably if you wanted to.
Yeah,
You know, if you're
and I
so
want to make sure that
inclined.
I want to make sure that I'm not. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to like dump on it because honestly, I think
No,
it's
of course.
wonderful
No,
that
It is
yeah.
wonderful, yeah.
so many people have this access and so many
But
artists can
with that
do it.
access, it does become that much more saturated. and
Yeah,
be
saturating
is.
the market, and that's what
Yeah.
that's what I kind of hope to do because one thing that we like to do for every artist is like near the end of the episodes we always ask them like, is there any like friends bands or anything that
Yeah.
you're listening to currently that may not be as popular, and that's
Mhm.
kind of the goal of this is to find those bands who are putting in the effort, putting in the work that deserve to get the notice, and that's what I hope to achieve
Yeah.
is to help people find those bands that deserve to get noticed. So
For sure.
yeah, because
No, it's really cool.
it's an oversaturated market for sure, and you can get caught up in the display of like TikToks and everything like that, and
Yeah.
get into routines, but I want to help people find like decent music and decent artists that deserve it. So
Well, one thing that I think you guys are doing that's different that I think is really cool is this whole playlist building. It's like, it's an experience. You sit down, you shoot the shit, and you build a playlist. And I think it's really cool. And I think that's one thing that kind of sets you apart from other podcasts. And I
Yeah.
think that's great because just the same way that music is an oversaturated market, so are podcasts.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
anybody,
sure.
and their brother like says like, oh, dude, like we should make a podcast, bro. And like
Yeah.
it's and there's nothing wrong with that, but it just becomes like, how do you compete? How do you set yourself apart? How do
Mhm.
you and
Yeah.
it comes down to like marketing and all this other stuff. And I don't know what you guys do for marketing or whatever. I
I
don't know
suck
if you're
at marketing.
taking
Yeah, we suck at that.
Yeah.
so
We suck
we can
shit
talk
at it.
about that at
Yeah.
a different time period because like I like not to like plug or whatever, but like I also I run a business outside of all this stuff
Okay.
with my business partner Ricky, who is my bandmate in Unsafe, Unsound. We have a business called The Comma Between because our band name is Unsafe, Unsound.
Got
There's just a
you.
comma between the words, and we didn't know what to call our business, so I jokingly was like, "What if we call it The Comma Between?" And he was like, "I don't hate it," and so we just
That'll
did that.
work.
Nice.
so-
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, what we do is we, ghostwrite for people, produce stuff, mix and master, like all that stuff. We also have like part of our company that is dedicated to basically helping people navigate marketing and social media and just kind of understanding what corners of the market they need to be in, how to kind of push themselves to get out there more, and basically just how to it's just kind of like a crash course in understanding what it means to market yourself
Yeah.
Mhm.
and to kind of like give you some key points and how you could possibly tackle this and maybe maximize your reach and
Yeah.
potentially hook more people.
So with me and Adam, our marketing strategy is relationships. So we just build
Yeah.
Right.
good relationships with all the bands we interview, and I share their stuff. But like me and Adam are both very like socially anxious. We have social anxiety. Like I can sit and
Oh,
talk.
same.
Yeah, dude. And like it's so hard to like just put yourself out there like that, especially for me and Adam.
Yeah.
So we just try to build relationships with our listeners and with the bands we interview, and that's kind of what we're doing. It's working. I mean, we've grown exponentially in the last year.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for about a year, and
Bands
yeah,
will come on and they'll have a good time, and then they'll refer us to other bands, and
yeah,
it's
pretty much.
it's
Yeah.
been
No, I think it's really cool. There's
Been
actually
working.
somebody I would like to introduce you guys to who is also a big proponent of trying to grow the scene and basically push underground artists. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely like to like have you guys link up. He has his own bands too, so maybe you guys could have
Oh,
him on the
absolutely,
podcast.
dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You know,
we
stuff
don't
like
turn
that.
down anybody. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
It's working,
And then-
Augie. It's working.
Yes. Yes.
No, what's really good though is like going to him would give you guys like an unlimited supply of like underground bands.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
He has like
yeah.
a Facebook chat that's nothing but members of
Are you
underground
talking
bands.
about?
and,
I know
like,
who you're talking
we-
about. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
talking about
So,
shit. I know his name, but I just fucking blanked on it because I'm part of that, I think. Ryan.
yeah, Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah. Me and
Yeah,
Ryan are real
definitely.
cool. We actually
He's
started
super
our
cool, man.
podcast at the same time. So I started this podcast
Oh,
and he
word.
started the demo team at the exact same time,
Yeah,
like a week apart. And we
that's
just
crazy.
yeah, we hit it off and we talk every now and then. He's busy right now with, band and starting another
Yeah.
podcast and stuff like that. But yeah, he's really dope. I love Ryan.
Yeah, honestly, he is definitely somebody who I think you guys should just hit up and just be like, yo,
Yeah.
like, do you have any artists that we could, look into? Because like
Yeah.
he's definitely good at that. And then also, I can talk to Zach from Ghost Killer and stuff like that. And,
Oh yeah, dude. That would be sick,
see
man.
if there are any artists on his label that would want to hop on or whatever.
Yeah. Well, see, we've done quite a few, like, I would consider them big. I mean, when you're
Yeah.
listening to this genre, like 30, 40,000 monthly listeners is huge for this genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've done like Dwellings and we've done like the Ongoing Concept is probably like my most beloved one because I grew up listening to that band and I love them so much. But we've done a few like, and I've also like 3 years ago, I did I did a bunch of good ones a couple years ago. I did like Joe Arrington, the Joe
Oh,
Arrington
yeah.
for A Lot Like Birds.
Oh, like birds. Yeah.
Mhm.
The drummer for that band. I've done like I gotta find
You
them.
did
Dude, these
Broadway?
playlists. There's so many. Yeah, I did Broadway. I did Misha Camacho from Broadway. That was sick.
Oh, that's sick, dude. I love Broadway.
Yeah, dude, he was so fucking nice, man. Like he talked my ear off for like 2 hours.
You did
But
Nick Moore.
I did Nick Moore from
Before
Before
Their
Their
Eyes.
Eyes. Yeah. So I've done a few
Yeah,
like,
dude.
bigger ones and stuff like that. And like
That's
I've
sick.
also done a lot of really cool bands, like underground bands, and I've gotten to watch them grow to like I think, dude, I met a Yeti 3 years ago and they just hit like 100,000 monthly listeners.
Nice.
Yeah, and when I first hit
That's so
them
sick.
up, they were at like 15,000 monthly listeners maybe, and they just hit 100,000.
Nice.
I was like, dude, that's
Yeah, that's
sick,
always
man.
cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah, just watching them grow, it has been really cool. So, I mean, it
That
has
is
its
super sick.
perks, it has its perks from a lot of these bands, and we also did the new member of the Callous Cowboys, Dan.
Oh yeah, that was a nice.
Yeah, they're definitely like killing it.
They
Yeah.
really are.
So we've done a lot, but I've also done a lot of like smaller bands who I absolutely adore. They grind so hard and they put in so much good work and make really good
Mhm.
music. So
Yeah, 100%.
Did we have any though that did we want to get any of the? I mean, I know we mentioned a lot of bands. We want to get them on the playlist.
Sure.
Okay.
Is there anything specific?
Yeah, Augie,
we
you
can
got
start with
anything?
Under Oath.
Or just keep moving. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Under Oath. So let's see, band or songs, or like one or two. How many?
You can do
However many
however
you
you
want.
want, dude.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Don't you gotta. Oh.
We'll cut you off if it.
Yeah.
It's not
If it gets too crazy.
just like their whole discography. It's fine.
Drag and drop, Augie.
Yeah, I think for me, obviously, I got into them in their only Chasing Safety era.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite song was one that actually ended up being a bonus track from their Japan release and wasn't on the English album. It's I've Got 10 Friends and a
Yes.
Crowbar That Says You Ain't Gonna Do Jack. Was my
Yeah.
favorite song off that album.
That was a good song.
Yeah. And then I'll do one more because my favorite album from them is Define the Great Line.
Absolutely.
And obviously, Writing on the Walls is what most people would pick, but I'm gonna pick Everyone Looks So Good From Here.
Yeah, man. That album and like
Yeah, that's a great one.
not including the two EPs, but they dropped their only Chasing Safety and it was good. It was great.
Yes.
And then they dropped
Yeah.
Define the Great Line and it was literally life-changing.
Yeah, no, that like honestly, so it's so funny how I kind of got into all this. So like my like gateway, I guess, into like all of this stuff, and I'm gonna use the term gateway loosely because like I feel like it was kind of a bridge from like like I was listening to like 80s rock and metal and stuff like that, and, for the most part with my dad, and then like my uncles and stuff got into like the 2000s, like like new metal and stuff, and then,
Yeah.
like, I found Linkin Park, of course, and Linkin Park was like life changing for me.
Yes, yeah.
So, really got super into Linkin Park. And then like a friend of mine was also big into them, but he was like a skater type of dude. And he was around like a lot of other people who were into like, the emo scene at that time. And yeah, it just kind of evolved from there. He gave me a copy of If Only You Were Lonely by Hawthorne Heights.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And yeah, that was kind of it from me. Like, just that and They're Only Chasing Safety. I got those two albums from him. And he also gave me this like demo Victory Records sampler DVD.
Those were the best.
That came with If Only You Were Lonely, I think. And he was like, yeah, just watch the music videos on this. And then I found bands like Aiden, Silverstein, Four Letter Lie, all the like sort of stuff. So, I was like a big like Victory Records head for a little bit, like loved all those bands.
Yeah.
And I just kind of cycled out If Only You Were Lonely and They're Only Chasing Safety for like months.
Yeah.
Like, just only those two albums. I love them so much.
My introduction to the scene was like I was big into like the Perfect Circle and shit, like Tool, Perfect Circle, like all the good stuff, Linkin Park too, of course, System of a Down, stuff like that. And my brother bought a DVD one time. It was the Mayor de Gnomes DVD.
Right.
Okay.
From A Perfect Circle. And in there, he's explaining the lyrics to Judith. And we were really religious growing up.
Okay.
And my mom walked in when he was explaining the "Fuck Your Lord, Your Christ" lyric. And she heard that and she freaked out. And they ended up breaking all of my CDs. And I was like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. So they were like, I was like, fine, you know what? I'm going to find the heaviest Christian music I can listen to. And then I found The Chariot.
Oh, The Chariot.
Norma Jean.
The Chariot was my like first love. I love them so much. And then Norma Jean. And then it just kind of like progressed from there, Under Oath. But The Chariot was like my first love. And then I got into Under Oath and Norma Jean and Devil Wears Prada and all that stuff later. But it was kind of a spiteful thing. That's how I got into the scene, was out of spite.
I listen to like David De La Ho's like so often, dude.
Yes, that song rips so
like,
hard, dude.
Dude, it's like perfect. I love that song.
Yeah, I just loved how just chaotic The Chariot was. There was like
they're ridiculous.
Yeah. There was no rhyme, rhythm, in any of their shit. It was just pure chaos, constant.
I love it so much.
But let's get some Linkin Park on here, man.
I really fell in love with them. I think my favorite album from them, it's very hard to pick just like one, but obviously I got into them during the like Hybrid Theory Meteora era.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really hard to pick one song. Let's pick Lying From You from Meteora. I think the guitar riff to that song is just heavy and I love it.
Yeah. And then Hawthorne Heights.
Ooh, Hawthorne Heights. It would be from If Only You Were Lonely. I know people love the silence of Black and White, but If Only You Were Lonely is definitely my love from them.
Yeah.
And let's do Dead in the Water.
Yeah, that's the one I had, the silence in Black and White. I bought that one on like my 17th birthday, I think.
I mean, everyone loves that song. Everyone loves Ohio is for Lovers. I feel like that's the obvious choice, but I'm trying to go for like some deep cuts and stuff like that. So my playlist doesn't end up being all of the usual.
Yeah, Silverstein.
Oh, Silverstein. So I have a hard time trying to decide if I like Discovering the Waterfront or When Broken is Easily Fixed more. I
can pick one off of each if you want.
Ooh, all right, I will do. Oh man, this is the hardest thing. I think I'm gonna end up going a little bit like conventional here. I think I'll do Bleeds No More from When Broken is Easily Fixed. There's a specific reason why. And then I'll do Always and Never from Discovering the Waterfront.
All right. Those were some amazing albums too, both of those.
Oh yeah. I actually love the like auto tune section in the bridge in Bleeds No More.
Yeah. Four Letter Lie.
Ooh, Four Letter Lie.
That's not one we get all the time. That's why I wanted to do that one. So
Dude, I love them. They're so sick. I will say I think What a Terrible Thing to Say was a better album than Let Your Body Take Over. And I'll do Cake Eater from that.
all right.
That song goes hard.
First of all, I really appreciate your Smosh and Fuff sort of video
Yes.
you put out, dude.
Oh, the little cover thing I did today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that song is on my phone to this day, and it puts me in a particular place and time when I
Yeah.
hear that song. So just
Yeah,
wanna
dude.
shout that out real quick.
I love I Set My Friends on Fire so
Yeah,
much. They
yeah.
were another like really big one for me.
We'll get them on the playlist for sure. But I guess I'm interested to know, man, if you have any sort of hot takes, musical hot takes.
Oh, okay. Hmm. I will say there's one hot take I do have, and I don't know how many people will like understand it or whatever, but Armor for Sleep is actually one of my favorite bands of all time. And their album, Smile for the Camera, was like not like a critical failure, but a lot of people just like didn't like that album, and I
Yeah.
actually think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's an awesome album, and I think it kind of just gets like dumped on for not being What to Do When You Are Dead, which a
Yeah.
lot of people think is their best album. But if I'm honest, I actually like Dream to Make Believe more than I like What to Do When You Are Dead.
Yeah. I think
That's
it
always
was the whole,
interesting, man.
I
Go
think
ahead,
it was the whole like concept. Like, because if I'm being honest, I wasn't really introduced to concept albums until that album, to What to Do When You're Dead.
Okay.
And I think a
Don't get
lot
me
of
wrong, I
people
still
have
think it's a
the same,
masterpiece.
yeah, I think a lot of people have the same, probably the same thought process that I have, is like that was their introduction to concept albums. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, and that's probably, and it's hard to top because every song flows so well together, and it
Yeah.
piggybacks off the song prior,
Mhm.
you know. And I think
Yeah,
that
I
was
think
the
it's
reasoning that Smile for the Camera didn't get the praise that it deserved, is because people
Yeah.
were still, you know, awestruck by what they did with What to Do When You're Dead.
No, it's a perfect album. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And Smile for Your Camera, Smile for the Camera. I don't think it's as bad as people made it out to be.
No, yeah, for sure, absolutely. I think it just got overshadowed, is
100%.
you know, and it is what it is, you know. But
And their new album, The Rain Museum, is also a concept album. And honestly, I know a lot of people are like, honestly, it feels like it feels like a safe choice. It doesn't feel like they, really step too far outside the box. And I'm gonna be honest, like I kind of agree with that. But that being said, I actually listened to the album kind of like on repeat when it came out. And the first time I listened to it, I was like, there's a couple standout tracks, it's okay. And then the more I listened to it, the more I was like, this album's actually really good. Like, and it just
Yeah.
kind of took me a couple listens to really like let it sink in. And I think that's a big problem with a lot of people now with music. Like, and I think it was like Jay-Z or something said something along the lines of like, you can't review an album in a day, but like all these, news places like or whatever are either getting the albums early or whatever to put a review out on day one or something like that. But at the same time, like too many people are either only listening to singles because we're way overstimulated because as we talked about before, it's an oversaturated market. And the albums aren't getting the attention. Look at Spotify specifically. When you look at an artist's like play count on songs, it's like ridiculous how low some of the album and I get it, the single is always gonna get played more.
yeah,
But certain songs in the album are just like super low play count,
Yeah.
and certain ones are like way up there. And I don't know, it's kind of, to me, like I used to buy and listen to, and once again, I'm not trying to be like boomer moment or anything, but I just don't think albums as a whole get the appreciation anymore. I used to buy albums and listen to them like all the way through and like multiple
Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
know? And I just don't think that happens as much anymore. And I
I think
could be
that's
wrong.
yeah, no, I think you're right. You can't, and doing this this podcast, I've noticed two things. One thing is that like later, like albums that came out when I was young by bands, I may not know. Like MCR is a perfect example, right? So like
Yeah.
they had three solid albums come out when I was young, and I loved those albums. I don't know anything after those albums that was put out, right?
All right. What are the three? Hold on. What are the three that you love?
All
Because
right.
we might have to fight.
All right. The three that I love are, I have to go look them up. I mean, of course, Three Cheers for
All right. You
Sweet
brought me your
Revenge.
bullets.
Yes, you brought me your bullets, Three
Okay.
Cheers, and then the Black Parade,
Yep.
which Black Parade,
Okay,
I
then you're
really
right,
didn't
you're right.
like it too much, you know. But doing this podcast, we actually interviewed somebody who was really young. Their introduction to My Chemical Romance was Danger Days. That's what they
See,
were
I don't like
for.
Danger Days.
Yeah, I don't either, but they did. So like doing this makes me realize that like even though I didn't know the album came out or listened to it or anything, like it doesn't mean that nobody did, you know, like people listened
Yeah.
to it and people loved it. And that's kind of where I'm like understanding now. And then
Yeah.
another thing is you can't form an opinion off of one listen
No.
because I'll throw like at the end of the month we do these song reviews and I'll throw just a bunch of random like we have a lot of artists in here and
Yeah.
some of these songs like I listen to the playlist like over and over again and some of the songs like grow on me and I'm like, you know what, the first time I listened to it I didn't like it. Now that's actually a really good fucking song, you know.
No, that was the point. Yeah, that was definitely like
Yeah.
kind of heading towards is like you can't do that. Like I listened
Yeah.
to that album like and I was like honestly like the songs didn't stick out to me. A couple of them I just didn't really vibe with the first time. And then all of a sudden, like the more I listened to it, where I was like, you know, this is actually good. And I started
Yeah.
hearing certain nuances and certain things. And honestly, it could be just the day you listen to it on or the mood you're in when you listen. There's so many factors that
Yeah.
determine, you know, how you feel about something. And so I don't know. It's like I used to do the same thing with albums as a kid. Like I would listen to maybe a couple seconds of a song, you know, and be like, I'm not really feeling this one, and skip it. And then one day I would just be like, you know, I'm just going to let it play. And then I'd hear something in it and be like, hey, this is actually kind of cool. And then I'd be like, why didn't I give this a shot before, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So I think it just happens the same way.
Yeah.
So I do think that like, and I'm guilty of it too. Like, you know, I think everybody is like, I don't know if it's because I quote unquote value my time more or I'm just, you know, overstimulated or whatever it may be, but I'm not giving certain things like enough time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And so I've been trying to do that more lately, and trying to get back into, you know, older habits in appreciating things or whatever, or, you know, and I think that that's a big thing for me right now is like, I think there are so many either albums or whatever it is that either get like overshadowed, like we had talked about before,
Yeah.
because there's a certain expectation and it just doesn't get like the love or whatever that it deserves for not being something else.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Absolutely. And me and Adam are definitely album dudes. I love an album. I love a good album.
Oh
man.
yeah.
I listen to an
I mean,
album.
Another hot take though is Three Cheers is better than Black Parade.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree with that.
And then, like, once again, I'm guilty of, and I'm being a hypocrite here. I only listened to Danger Days once, and I didn't like it, you know. But at
Yeah.
the same time, like, I knew that MCR was drastically shifting and trying to separate themselves from what they used to be,
Yes.
and I liked what they used to be, and I wasn't really vibing with what they became. And now, as an adult, I've gone back and tried to listen to Danger Days. Because my wife was like an MCR fan and we were talking about it and I was like, no, Danger Days was trash. And she was like, it wasn't that bad. And I went back and listened to it. And I think like, even as an adult, I was like, nah, man, it's still trash. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't vibe with it. I did find maybe one or two songs that I was like, you know, these are okay. But a majority of it, I was like, I can't. But I think it's also, and I could be wrong, I think it's also a concept album too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, Black Parade was a concept album, and I think Three Cheers to an extent is a concept. But I don't know. I just wasn't vibing with that one as much.
I've got a hot take too about one of the biggest overshadowing moments in the early
okay.
2000s. It's A Fever You Can't Sweat Out was, in my opinion, I'm probably gonna get shit on so hard. Adam will probably back me up on this though. A Fever You Can't Sweat
1,000%.
Out was much better than From Under the Cork Tree.
Yes,
Wow.
easy,
And
dude.
I feel like
Wow.
that album got way overshadowed.
That album.
Listen,
Just,
I love From
gonna
Under the Cork
preface.
So
Tree.
hold on, wait. But From Under the Cork Tree, that's Fall Out
Yes.
Boy versus Panic.
Yes.
So you're saying that you think that Fall Out Boy's From Under the Cork Tree did better than A Fever You Can't Sweat Out.
It did.
and
It
you
did
think
do
The
better.
Fever was a better album.
I think The Fever was
No,
the
but
better
you
album.
think Fever's a better album.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Correct.
You know what's funny? I do agree with you.
Yes. Yes.
My
I do
man.
agree.
No,
I do agree.
That's I'm gonna preface this. That's one of that like we're gonna next month we're gonna talk about our top 5 no skip albums.
Yeah.
Fever You Can't
Okay.
Sweat Out, zero skips.
Zero skips
It's a
all the way
masterpiece.
through. Yep.
It's
It is a
on my list.
masterpiece. And
Yeah, I
From Under the
agree.
Cork Tree has Dance Dance on it. That song sucks shit.
You know
Uh,
what? That's fair. I'm not gonna like.
I won't say
I
it took
know.
shit.
No,
But
dude. Dance Dance is probably
I feel
Fallout's
you.
worst
I-
fucking song ever.
I get it.
I really love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this though, like for real, like Sugar We're Going Down, like did something to me as a kid. Like
Yes,
hearing it for the
yes.
first time, like there was just this. It evoked a certain feeling from me that even as an adult, when I hear that song, I still get that feeling.
Oh,
And it
absolutely.
very much like hits me in a certain way. And I
Yeah.
think that like that for me is like the highlight. Whereas like if I listen to or if I go back to listen to A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, like I can't pick like, and be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the highlight or this is the best song. Like, I mean, I will say that like Time to Dance was like probably one of my like highlight tracks. Like, but that's because I'm a big like synth person and
Yeah.
of course, like there's that synth line in the song and all that stuff. But I actually, funny enough, that we're talking about this album, got a copy of Fever from a friend. It was the same friend who gave me the Hawthorne Heights and Under Earth album. He gave me a bunch of albums, but he would just download all the songs or burn like a copy of the CD. But he didn't have a real physical of that one, so he had downloaded all the songs, gave me a copy of it, and it had demo versions of I think Camisado. Was it that one? Or I can't remember. It might have been Nails for Breakfast, Tax for Snacks. But it had demo versions of like 3 tracks. And I know Time to Dance was one of them. And so I listened to that copy of that CD like incessantly. And then eventually got a real copy of the album. And the songs were different.
Yeah.
Like either the structure was different or like one of them was just entirely different in the way it was recorded, the way it was sung, the way it was structured. And it threw me off so hard because I was like, this is not the way I've heard this for years.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it was
That's
interesting.
crazy. I mean, and the
It
lyrics
was
in
ahead of
A
it.
Fever
It
You
was ahead
Can't
of its
Sweat.
time.
Oh, dude, the lyrics in A Fever You Can't Sweat are just unmatched, bro.
Yeah.
Just,
It's a great album.
Oh, yeah. I love that
It
album.
is.
Give me your favorite song. off
It's
that
definitely one of like,
one.
ooh. So yeah, Time to Dance is probably my favorite.
Yeah, it's
Time to Dance.
time to
Yeah.
dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
I love
my
that
life
one.
depended on it and someone put a gun to my head and was like, you got to spit a whole album, that's the one. I'll be
Oh
like,
yeah,
spit
100%,
it.
dude.
I got it, dude. I'm going to live this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That one for sure. Actually, me and once again, going back to my friend who was in Misgiving with me, we did a cover of "Time to Dance" for TikTok a while back.
Oh,
let's check
nice.
it
Dude.
out.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good album, man. But
We were gonna do a full thing, but we just like hadn't gotten around to it. But I do want to actually do a full cover of that at some point.
yeah. All right, man. So we've got some little bit of post-hardcore on here, a little bit of, Panic. What got you into like, you said your dad was a musician. Was he very like was he supportive of you playing instruments and things of that nature?
It's weird, man. It's a weird dynamic because my dad, he was very young when I was born, and so like, and I say this with just all due respect. Like, it's nothing against my dad. Like, we're actually very close,
Yeah.
but he was very immature when I was growing up. And we've talked about it. We've acknowledged it. Like, everything's good. We're fine now. But we butted heads a lot as I started getting older, and I think we're just too similar
Yeah.
personality wise, but yet we're also very different in viewpoints. And so my dad was very bitter with the music industry
Mhm.
because he was a musician, he was a drummer, he was in a punk band, though he didn't like punk music, but he stayed in the band because he recognized the potential. And they were just a very tight band. They were a three-piece called Hanging Out with Jane. And yeah, they were playing these clubs, they were getting scouted, all this stuff. And then like grunge took over and kind of just destroyed the scene and kind of ruined his opportunity to an extent because they didn't want to conform and become a grunge band. So they
Yeah.
were kind of just no longer marketable. And so he became very bitter with the music industry and just kind of stopped appreciating and loving music past a certain era. And I think
Yeah.
he just got very comfortable with that. And so when I started branching off and getting into my own genres and stuff like that, that kind of, diverged from like what he was into, like he became honestly like a lot less supportive. And
Mhm.
yeah, but I will say this, like he is very supportive now. Like
Good.
he's definitely like, chilled out, like, kind of gotten over all of that. And it's just in, a much better place, like much more mature, much, more level headed and stuff like that. And so yeah, he's very supportive of what I do now. But there was a time period where it was kind of awkward and he wasn't exactly like, it almost seemed like he was working against me instead of being supportive and trying to like be a big proponent for,
I got you.
my interest and success for a little bit. But no, for getting me into it 100%. And then when I kind of just started doing my own thing, it kind of just got a little weird for a bit. But yeah, now once again, he's very much like very supportive again. So
Yeah.
it's cool.
Is he the reason you learned how to play instruments?
Yeah, he is actually. Just kind of being around him. I, just riding in the car, I was just a very like, I guess like vocal kid and stuff like that. And just started singing, just riding along in the car with him and stuff like that. And he was a drummer, and so I would just kind of like play his drum set and stuff like that. And I was very interested in drums at like a very young age, and picked up learning that stuff. And then as we kind of moved around and stuff, we got into places where we just didn't have the space and or like the allowance for noise for
Yeah.
drums and stuff. So
Mhm.
he started like buying guitars and stuff like that. So there were just guitars around the house, and I started picking those up and kind of teaching myself how to play those. So yeah, I mean, honestly, it's really because of him that I, whether directly or indirectly, had a love for music and interest in it and the tools around to kind of foster that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's awesome, man.
definitely owe a lot to him there.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome, man. I wish I would have learned to play an instrument.
It's never too late, man.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. It's hard to make
Especially now,
time
we
for
talked
it.
about it. Dude, we talked about it though. It is more accessible now than it's ever been.
It really is, yeah.
Mhm.
It really
And
is.
even cheap instruments have skyrocketed in quality in comparison to what
Yeah.
they were
Oh yeah.
years ago.
I don't
Oh, yeah.
remember who it was, and it may have been, I don't know. I remember there was like an old head talking, like an old
Yeah.
like 80s band talking, some dude like guitarist talking about how like kids nowadays have it so easy because they can just like look on YouTube and figure out how to do what I learned myself. And it's like it doesn't mean they have it easy because it's still hard to learn. Like you just didn't have
Yeah.
anybody to teach you. So of course you taught yourself.
It's definitely
They still have
easier
to
now.
practice their craft and like get good
Yeah.
at it, like I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a dumb argument to make. Like, I mean, they're sitting there practicing hours and hours and hours. It's not like they're just like watching the video and immediately getting it down.
Right.
Like,
No, and I see his point to an extent where it is like it's more accessible, but like what's crazy is like why is he bitter about that?
Yeah, upset about it. There's a lot of people that
like
do that.
you should just be happy
No, you
that
gotta
like
struggle like
young-
he did. All right.
Some people have that mindset. They're like, if I did it, everyone else should do it because it's good.
Yeah,
for them.
I
It's like,
just don't-
dude, look at that, all this fucking unchecked trauma you're dealing with.
Right? Yeah.
What's crazy to me,
Calm
dude, like
down.
is it's like the idea of like back in my day, I walked, uphill in the snow both ways,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the idea is that like, I thought the idea was that we were supposed to be kind of going through our own struggles and stuff like that, so
Hmm.
that way the next generation
Yeah, we're supposed
would
to leave it
have
a
it.
better place.
Right, exactly. So it's like to say that like we succeeded in living it or making things easier and a better place for the next generation, and I'm bitter about that seems really odd.
Yeah.
Like dude, be happy that more kids will have the accessibility so that way they can foster that
It's
interest and they
it's
don't
almost
Yeah.
give
like a
up.
it's like a resentment thing. They probably are like, oh, if I could have had it as easy, I'd be the next, whatever. And it's like,
Yeah, I'm sure you would, old man. Shut up.
Right.
But
Like,
like,
bro, take
sure,
some of those
Grandpa, sure.
millions of dollars that you've earned and go to a couple therapy sessions, my guy. Like,
Yeah.
eat your bran flakes, chill out.
right?
Like,
Take your
honestly, like,
fish oil.
yeah, it's crazy, but like honestly, it's great because to me, it like I know so many people gave up on music because it wasn't accessible. They didn't have anyone to teach them. They
Mhm.
didn't have the money for this or whatever it may be. And it's like so many more musicians are coming out, and we talked about it, like the market's getting more saturated, but because so many people are able to foster that passion so
Yeah.
much easier and are able to like create and all of this other stuff. And I love that. Like I, I'm not, I hope I never become one of those people that
Yeah.
is listening to music, in 20 years from now and is like, all this music sucks. And back in my day, we had crabcore. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be one of those dudes because I want to see where things go. And honestly, I am a little like disturbed and a little like weirded out by like the whole AI making music thing.
That is a
Um,
little
Oh
weird,
yeah.
yeah, but
and it's weird. Like Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins said something interesting, and I don't want to like. I'm going to be paraphrasing. I don't want to quote him, but he said like, the AI itself like is basically just like another tool, and essentially it's like it's just kind of making things more efficient because I, as an artist, basically was just emulating everything that I heard from other artists in order to create something. And it took me hundreds or thousands of hours to craft things, whereas
Damn.
somebody else is just feeding this AI a bunch of influences and it's just crafting something. So
yeah.
all it's doing is
He's
just
got a point.
basically being more efficient in doing what I did. It's
Yeah.
taking this and using it as inspiration to make something the same way that I basically ripped off everyone else to create something. And
Yeah.
he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's not
Um,
wrong.
so it's like it's just one of those things where I do think that a human had to create the AI. So when people are saying it's lacking a human element, it wouldn't exist without a human. So I don't
Yeah.
think it's necessarily lacking a human element. And on top of that, it is doing everything a human would do, just at a more efficient pace.
Yeah.
And he said specifically, art is about discernment, and it's about basically just kind of discerning what you believe is to be good or what you believe is to be art and what you believe is to be not. And
Yeah.
obviously holding on to and creating what you believe is art. And you still have that discernment when the AI creates something. You can
Yeah.
decide whether or not it is good or bad or whether or not it's something you're going to be using. So it's weird because like obviously a part of me wants to be like, no, it's not okay because a human didn't make it or whatever. But like, I don't know, man. Like it's a weird line to tread.
Yeah.
I know the Grammys apparently have said like if AI created the music, like it can no longer be eligible for a Grammy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a weird line to tread, and I see both sides of it. I'm not sure where I stand
I
on it yet.
mean, I think art is meant to inspire, and if you look at like we talked about this the other day on the podcast, is like Dave Grohl stole all of his drum beats from Nirvana
Yep.
from old like funk bands. Like he was inspired by those bands, and he took what he knew and he used them in a different way. And art is meant to inspire, and like I know Ed Sheeran just got caught up in that big ass lawsuit, and he literally said if he lost a lawsuit, he'd never make another fucking song again because
Well, yeah.
if they're not going to allow him to be inspired by something, then what's the fucking point? And I agree with that. I agree with that. Like when you make a piece of art for everyone to listen to, you are trying to inspire. I mean, I get like money and everything like that, but at the end of the day, that person was inspired by something you made. And I think that is the biggest form of flattery
Yeah.
a person can receive, that I made something that somebody felt obligated to be inspired by and want to create something from that.
Yeah. No, I would agree, man. It's just kind of crazy. And so
Yeah, but as
it's
far as AI doing it, I don't know where I stand on that either. So
it's hard. It's hard. Like, and that's what I was saying. Like, certain people can make arguments for it that, I try to remain really open-minded in like everything now because like,
yeah,
obviously I've seen what being closed-minded is like. I've seen how it affects people, whatever. And so just in everything I do, that doesn't mean I don't have conviction to my beliefs, but that doesn't mean that I can't, admit that I'm wrong.
yeah,
Because like, I could be convicted to a belief and then someone could come around and be like, hey, like, even though you stand for this, have you thought about it this way? And I'll say, you know what? No, I haven't. And like, maybe I should, consider that. And so when it comes to this AI thing, I'm very much like just trying to consider everything. And I can't necessarily say I have a conviction yet to anything because I don't really know enough about it. I don't really know how people are using it, anything, but I will say in maybe I'm hypocritical in some way, shape, or form for this. And if so, like, fuck me, I guess. But the people who are taking artists' voices and using, like, making beats or whatever, or using AI to make beats, and then taking that artist's voice to place it on like a beat or whatever to make it seem like this artist performed or wrote the song, that doesn't sit very well with me.
yeah,
Like I've seen people do it with like Kurt Cobain. It's like, not only is the dude not around to like defend himself,
yeah,
but in a weird way, it's gonna sound strange. I don't know if this can fall under like the idea of parody, nor do I know if it can fall under the idea of like an impression or an imitation.
yeah,
The AI
yeah,
is essentially just doing an impression. So, what is the difference between somebody doing an impression or an imitation of Kurt Cobain and then also trying to sing like him over it and saying like, well, this is what it would sound like if Kurt Cobain did this. Is
yeah,
there really any difference between the two?
yeah. I think it's
Other
too
than
early to kind of tell.
It's
Like,
tough.
yeah, it's too early to kind of. I mean, you can make your opinions on it and everything, but
yeah,
it's so hard to tell where, because, like you said, is it an impression? Is it, what is it?
yeah,
I mean,
it's hard, man. It's
yeah,
hard to, and once again, this just comes down to that discernment and whatever it may be. Like, are you creating it with the intent to inspire? Because then if you are,
yeah,
is it art?
yeah.
So it's hard, man. It's really hard. Art is so subjective, and
I
all this
think,
stuff is just kind of crazy, man.
like, at the end of the day, you're always going to have people who do, take advantage of it and use it in the
Mhm.
wrong way. But you're
Yeah,
also going to have people who are just trying to use it in a way to benefit themselves and like make something cool. And
yeah.
it's hard to, the people who take advantage of it and fuck it up for everybody. That's,
Intent is important, dude.
yeah,
Intent is very important, and so
absolutely.
it's just very strange to me that we're kind of living in this time period where something is, as crazy as artificial intelligence is so easily accessible to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bro, it seemed like that shit happened so fast, but I know they've been working on this for decades, but it rolled out so fucking
It does
fast.
seem like this overnight, all of a sudden, everybody had access to it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
it is nuts, man.
What does tired violence mean? And tell us a little bit about your writing process, man. I mean, I
Tired
know.
Violence is literally the name of an Under Oath documentary.
Oh,
Aha.
nice.
Yep, is the name of an Under Oath documentary. It was kind of just depicting basically what their life was like in the band post Aaron Gillespie, leaving,
Yeah.
and doing their album Disambiguation and stuff. And it was basically just kind of about the band wrapping it up and about to call it quits and stop being a band for a bit. And it was a very powerful documentary as somebody who was such a big fan.
Mhm.
And I don't know what they meant by the phrase, but for me, the phrase felt really powerful, and I kind of had assigned like my own meaning to it personally. So I'm very vocal about mental health issues. I have some diagnoses that I have been, I guess, given or assigned or whatever you want to say by a medical health professional that I didn't necessarily understand
Hmm.
for a bit. I knew I had struggled with things, and getting the diagnosis didn't really like change who I was because I was still the
Right.
same person regardless of having the label or not.
Did
But
it make stuff
um,
maybe make sense?
kind of, yeah. It's like it's
Yeah.
in a weird way, it was more like a W for me, because I'm like, it's
Yeah.
not an L that I got labeled this way. It's like now I know more about myself. I can find, like I can find help now and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I had
That's
kind of
awesome.
just been given this idea, this phrase had kind of like sat with me. To me, it's kind of like I'm tired and I'm fighting regardless of the fact that I'm tired of fighting my hardest.
Hmm.
Like I have to wake up, I have three kids, so I
Yeah.
have to be a dad, and I'm married, so regardless of what people tell you, relationships are work, and they should,
Yes.
They are.
work out, you know what I mean? But you still have to coexist with somebody, and it's there's no such thing as like a perfect relationship, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
just it's
No,
yeah,
there really
it's
isn't.
and you can find somebody that is like perfect for you, quote unquote, you know what I mean, where you guys
Right.
like align and all this other stuff and you guys can work together 100%. But that's the thing, is you guys have to work together.
Yes.
Exactly.
And so I have to obviously work together with my wife, and which makes things easier at times, but there are struggles. And so it's that, and the kids and everything, and then like dealing with the kind of like mental health issues that I have and stuff like that. And they kind of just peaked really hard at a very specific point, and that was around the time where Misgiving was going down the drain and stuff like that. And I was trying to come up with an idea for like a solo project, and just the phrase tired violence kind of like came up, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to use that, like, no disrespect to Under Oath or whatever, but it was just like this. The phrase really sat with me, and I was like, I feel like this is perfect because a lot of the music that I write is very much about these mental health struggles and stuff like that. So,
Mhm.
going through the lyricism and stuff like that, like a lot of them are depicting this sort of thing. And yeah, so that's kind of just, it's really just me a lot of the time singing about kind of just my struggle, I guess. And, you
Yeah.
know, it's just for an outlet for me, a way to kind of just work through things and get it out. But
Yeah.
putting it out to the
Everybody needs
public,
one.
For
yeah, putting it
sure.
out to the public for me was more so kind of like how you had talked about like inspiring people. And it's not that I want to inspire people to create as much as I want to inspire people to make change or whatever it may be. Or
Yeah.
to,
I mean,
it's just the same thing that we talked about earlier. It's that representation thing, that feeling like you're not alone, and I know that's cliche and corny and whatever, but it is that like just when you hear something that feels like it was written for you, like it
yeah,
gives you that certain feeling. And that's what Define the
absolutely.
Great Line was for me, was like I felt like some of that was written for me at that time, a little bit later in my life, when I revisited the album. Not that I really stopped listening to it, but I listened to it at a very specific point in my life, and I was like, this hits very differently right now.
Yeah, I
Um,
think Spencer does. He's even with that Disambiguation album. I listen to some of
Disambiguation's
those.
great.
I listen to some of those songs, and Spencer's lyrics are just spot on, man. Like, Define the Great
Mhm.
Line was probably one of their darkest albums to
Yeah.
date, and his lyrics in that, you could tell he was just going through it, and I respect that a lot about him. As somebody who
Yeah.
also struggles with like mental health shit as well. Three kids, same, and
Yeah.
a wife. It is hard to
Mhm.
do shit some days.
Yeah, man.
But
So, I mean, that's just kind of what it's about.
yeah. So, but
Um,
Spencer's lyrics are spot on, man. He
yeah, I'm
was,
very influenced by him.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, for sure, dude. The just disambiguation, man. Like the shit. I don't even remember the name of the song, but the I lay in a bed of resistance, chained to either
Yep.
side. Yeah, God, dude,
Yep.
that song is so sick.
This
And
song's
like,
so good, dude.
yeah, man, that album actually really surprised me because I thought it was going to be shit without Aaron. I really did.
Dude, another hot take though. Another hot take. That album is fire, and
That album is so good.
people are just upset because Aaron isn't on it. And
Yes,
like, honestly, stop being a child and actually listen to it because
listen to
like
it.
it's so good. Like,
It
don't
really is.
throw a fit because like Aaron's not there. Like, dude, Daniel Davison is such a good drummer, and
Yeah,
I don't think anybody could have like replaced Aaron like nobody can replace him, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Like
yes,
he's a very important element to the band, but the album is still good without him. And Spencer did a great job of stepping into that role of just being the primary and only vocalist. But even
Mhm.
outside of that, like I think Daniel Davison was the perfect replacement for Aaron because his drumming style is also like a little unconventional, and he's just a great dude. And honestly, no disrespect to Aaron, but I think Daniel's a better drummer than him.
Daniel Davison is a fucking legend, dude.
yeah. Well, Aaron's got
I,
a lot going on. He's got the clean vocal he's got to do. He can't really
yeah.
focus on the drumming, and whereas
Even
Daniel
outside of
is
that,
just
even outside of
yeah,
that, Daniel, I think hands down is just a better drummer. Like
yeah,
I mean, it's nothing against him. I think Aaron, has his own talents, and he probably does other stuff better. Like he's probably a better singer than him. You know what I mean? But like
yeah,
solely just based on drumming ability, I think Daniel takes it.
yeah. We're just getting hot takes all over the place
Left and right,
tonight.
dude. Yeah.
Aaron's one of my biggest influences too, so it's no disrespect to
Yeah.
him. It's just it is what it is.
No, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with that album. And it's definitely like for sure give it a listen. Anybody out there, like it's a great album.
Honestly, like it's a single on the album and everything, but the song Paper Lung like really got me through like a very tough time.
Yeah.
Like I love that album.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's really cool where your name comes from and stuff like that. I'm definitely like a big advocate for therapy. I think everybody can benefit, even if you're not going through anything or whatever. I think everybody can benefit from therapy.
Yeah, man,
Mhm.
just having someone to talk to that's like an objective, like third party,
Yeah.
it's just important, man. Like going to someone in a non-judgmental, like safe environment where like, they are just like a third party. They're not present like in your everyday life and hang out with
Yeah.
all your friends and know your family or anything. It's just somebody who can be objective and sit down and, based on what you're telling them, kind of absorb your recounts and kind of let you know is a big thing for me is like, do not go to therapy. And I don't mean this in a rude way, but don't go to therapy if you're not prepared to be honest.
Yes.
Right.
You cannot get the help that you need if you're good. Like if you're looking for somebody to just like basically tell you you're justified in your actions so that way you can feel
Right.
better about yourself, even though you're the problem. Don't don't go to a therapist looking for that because realistically you need to be honest with them so you can get things resolved. And I'm not
Yes,
telling
yeah.
people not to go to therapy, but it's just like that's not what it's about.
No, yeah. And another thing is that I kind of stress too is like if the first therapist that you see isn't a match for you, just keep trying because I
100%.
mean, go to another one and find the one that fits you, that's
Yeah, I
good
went
for
through
you.
three.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I finally found one that like just worked pretty well with me and stuff like that. But the first two that I saw like were not like, dude. There was one I was seeing, and I'm not even kidding. I kind of asked them a question about something. They responded in an odd way. I kind of reiterated and was kind of like, "Are you sure?" Because something kind of seems a little weird about this. And they kind of like put down their like pen and everything, and kind of like in frustration, basically, and then like looked over at their wall and pointed at it and they were like, "Do you see these degrees on the wall? I think I
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about." And I literally just got up and walked out because I was like, "Whoa, like you're not going to be a dick to me, bro."
Right. Yeah. Yeah, dude. And that's I think a lot of people get discouraged because they go to one therapist and it doesn't work out. And so they stop trying, but just keep
Mhm.
trying and find the one that's right for you.
Yeah,
Because
dude. I mean,
they're
the
out there.
second dude I went to see, like, wasn't keeping up with my life at all. I would go in, he wouldn't even look me in the eye. He would just be kind of looking at like basically my chart essentially and just reading off things from there. But like he would never update that chart. So he would
Yeah.
ask me about old jobs that I didn't have anymore, ask me like about my wife when I was never married and all this stuff like at the time. And like I just like stopped going to see him because I was like, he's not listening to me. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm going in there waiting in his waiting room for like an hour to talk to him like for like 15 minutes for him to just say like, all right, we'll keep taking your meds. And I was like, this isn't working. And then so
Yeah.
I went to go see a third one after years of kind of what you guys said, like just giving up on it. And I finally was like, I need help. Like I need to see somebody. I found this dude who I got like kind of referred to by like a doctor at the time. And I was like apprehensive about it, super apprehensive. And he came and got me from the waiting room, and I sat down, and he was like, "So how are we feeling today? You know what I mean? Like it's our first meeting. Like tell me what's going through your head right now because you seem a bit like uneasy." And I was like, and like before I could even answer, he was just like, "Oh, hold on, let me guess." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he was like, "Oh, fuck, another therapist." And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, and I was like, "Dude, just drop the F bomb like so casually." And I was just like, "Kind of, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm feeling right now." And then he was like, "Yeah, you probably think that I'm like, basically like not gonna pay attention and like I'm gonna be like a fucking dickhead and all this other stuff." And I was like, "All right, I think we're cool here." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's great.
he could already tell like immediately just kind of how I was feeling, just by like looking at me. So he's good at his job. He's a great dude. He's kind of helped me in times where like I didn't want to admit that I was the problem and all this other stuff, and kind of just like, dude, like let's be objective, let's be real, like let's get down to brass tacks here, essentially. And kind of forced me to admit like, where I was wrong and stuff in certain instances, and kind of pushed me to become a better person to where like I don't think like that anymore. And, like going to see him and, like just the accountability from other people in my life, like my wife and stuff like that, has just really transformed like how I think about like everything. So
Yeah.
definitely
That's
it's
awesome,
a good
man.
thing to have for sure.
For sure. That's awesome, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get a few more artists on here, man.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're currently listening to that you really enjoy?
Ooh, there's a band called Soul Keeper. It's all one word, and they have a song called "Gorgeous," which like is freaking ridiculous. You guys talked about Norma Jean and stuff, and I don't know
Oh yeah.
if you guys know, but there's the singer started a band called Orphan Twin. It's all one word.
Yeah, I think
I've
Adam.
heard of it.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I haven't. I'm not sure I've listened to it.
Yeah, and they have a song called "Headphones or Die" that like was on repeat for a little bit when it dropped.
Is that Corey?
Yeah. Corey Brandon. Yep.
God, that dude.
He needs to calm down, dude.
I know, bro.
He's like, I've been doing this for 20 years. What else can I do? Another
right.
band.
Another band.
Yeah, dude. He's I mean, he also has his project 100 Suns. And that one was also a pretty sick project. But as far as like influence stuff goes, I mean, I Set My Friends on Fire. We talked about that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, yeah. We didn't get them. Put it on.
Oh, you could honestly like just like nothing into you guys, but I've been like writing down artists that we've kind of brought up casually as we've been talking.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Just so
dude.
that way. Like,
Oh yeah, no,
something.
absolutely.
Obviously, there You Can't Spell Slaughter Without Laughter album is that's for me like a no skips album.
Yes.
It is.
I don't want to pick the like obvious choice, so let's pick. I don't know if this is the obvious choice. No, this one's less popular. So, WTF WJD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that one a lot. Sky Eats Airplane was another one.
Yeah, let's go.
Ooh, huge one for me.
We don't get that a lot.
We
I'm
don't.
upset
We
about
don't.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. See, look, I'm so unique. Not really. Everything
too.
Perfect on the Wrong Day for me. Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
100%. Everything Perfect on the Wrong Day, I think for me is like my favorite album for them. It's just a classic. It's hard to pick one song off of it.
Yeah.
I will say, let's do Honest Hitchhikers Asking for Cash Handouts.
Yeah.
That was such a good album. That was so like unique for its time as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I actually like as we talk about this. I know I keep going like just random directions, but
You're good.
I was really big in the Nintendo core scene.
Yes, me too.
Like super big into it, dude. And so that's another like big influence of mine. Seosin. I think we brought them up at some point. I think we
Yeah,
were talking about like Misgiving and stuff like that. But yeah, I was really, really into them. The Beatle album to me is like another no skips. It's peak. Like, I
Mhm.
just think it's an amazing album.
for
Um,
sure.
if I have to pick one song off of that one, I mean, I know everyone loves Voices, but I think I'm gonna go with. I know I'll go with Bury Your Head. I was gonna go with Some Sense of Security, but like honestly, Bury Your Head's like so good. And then Armor for Sleep is another one. Let's do Wanderers Guild.
I was gonna say Nintendo Core. We've talked about this a few times on the show, and it's like how it just like died suddenly.
Yeah. No, so I'm gonna be real with you guys. The Nintendo Core scene is still alive. It is just very underground. I'm in like a couple like Facebook groups and stuff like
Yeah.
that, like for Nintendo Core, but like I'm not very active on Facebook. I'm gonna be real. Like I don't really do social media outside of posting like on like my TikTok or whatever, or like my Facebook fan page or Instagram. Like I don't like social media
Same.
at all.
Same.
So I don't like I'm not active on it, but like I got invited to some of these groups and I was like, oh, like, this will be a way for me to like, keep up with the Nintendo Core bands or whatever. But yeah, I was super into that scene.
I know there's one of them that I really like. It's called Thought Crime.
Okay.
They're really good.
Yeah, for me it was like obviously Horse the band is like the big,
Yeah,
like, one or whatever. Like 100
they-
Dead Rabbits.
they're like a cyber grind, which I assume is similar to Nintendo
Yeah,
Core.
dude. So Cyber Grind is like that for me was the thing. Like Cyber Grind / Nintendo Core was like
Yeah.
that. Like that was I was listening to nothing but that for like a long time.
Yeah, Thought Crime is like they have a song and it's like a minute and 30 seconds long. And I was like, dude, I heard that song and I was like, I want this song to be fucking longer because it's so goddamn good.
Dude, I feel you. Like I love that like era though. Like it was God, that era. Like
Yeah,
it was a huge for me. So
yeah,
yeah, I think if I had to pick like a Nintendo Core artist, like I Am Error / Monomate, because it was like the same dude, he just changed his name later. Like for me is probably like what I think is like quote unquote like peak Nintendo Core or whatever. If I had, it's trash, like it's terribly recorded and stuff like that. But
those are my favorite, dude.
yeah, dude, like the really like bad like
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, he has an album called Trout Yogurt that I like.
Oh.
I just got a vinyl for it because like it was like a super limited release. And dude, all right, so this is how awful I am with stuff like this. But like the vinyl was only like $25 or $30 or something like that. But like there's a company that does like really limited run pressings of like Cybergrind and Nintendo Core bands. They're called Wax Vessel. The dude who runs it's kind of a dick. Like just flat out. Like I got into a huge argument with him on Facebook one time, like just in like DMs, because like he like straight up tried to like gaslight me and everything. Like I don't even care. Like I'll put this out there. Like whatever. Like he was just like really rude to me when all I did was just try to ask him a question, and then like just like it got really bad, and then he tried to like gaslight me, and it got really awkward. And finally, I just like he finally just stopped responding to me. Like I don't know, I was probably just being annoying at that point, but I was like so heated over it. But they dropped a pressing of Trout Yogurt by I Am Error, and like it was a remastered pressing. Like all the songs have been entirely like like cleaned up and everything. And I was like, I need this. This album was so big to me, and I was so excited. And then, what ended up happening was like it was a time zone issue, and I had even Googled it, dude. I'm not gonna lie, and I was like, "What time zone is this?" And like, someone told me it was like only 2 hours difference, like some website. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Turned out it was, or they told me it's like 3 hours, and it turned out to be 2 hours or something like that. I was an hour late essentially, and I missed
Damn.
out because like only like a certain amount of pressings were made, and I was so bummed out. And what sucks is Wax Vessel pressing, since it's such like a niche community and so underground, their resale value is like ridiculously high.
Yeah.
Like one person selling one for $1,000.
Wow.
And I would just happen to be on like Discogs, like because I'll collect vinyl here and there. Like I'm not super like crazy about it unless like there's an album I really need, And I happened to find the dude had just posted one, and they go really quick because the
Yeah.
community is like really. So like he posted it immediately. Like I spent $300 on this one record.
God dang.
Like I was just like, nope, I'm doing it.
I sampled like a song or two, and that's like right up my alley. I love that shit.
Yeah, dude.
Forest of Fellatio.
Yeah, dude.
There's like a little breakdown in midway through it. That shit's sick, dude.
Dude, see, you already know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's get a song
love
from them on here, man.
let's do "Fuck Your Sanctuary." I'm heading for a bomb shelter.
All right.
Yeah, I love the guitar in that song.
And then is there any like homies or friends or anything like that you want to shout out and throw on here?
Sure. Let's see. I have some friends in a band called Revenant, spelled RVNT. They're a local band from out here, and yeah, they're pretty sick. I want to say the song is called Home. Yeah, Home. Yeah, it came out in 2018. That song's pretty sick. And then another local band that's pretty good is Set for Tomorrow, and they have a song called Clipping My Wings that I think the chorus too is like pretty sick.
And I was gonna ask you if you wanted to throw a Misgiving song on here.
Sure. Honestly, I know it's the single, but I'm really, really proud of Absolution. I think that song is tight.
Okay.
Yeah, that song is it's really good.
Yeah, it is. It's really sick.
Thanks, man.
And then Unsafe, Unsound. You want to throw one of those songs on here as well?
Yeah. Oh, let's see. We'll do Lost. That one's cool.
Are y'all gonna be making any more music for that?
Yep, we are. So we took a little bit of a break and it wasn't intentional. Oh dude, we have 56,000 monthly listeners. Let's go. I didn't even know. I haven't checked in so long, dude. I just I put it down for a bit and intentionally stopped looking. So that's not like a like humble brag or anything.
No,
so
yeah.
I'm genuinely surprised because like we put it down because we had like 130,000 at one point or whatever when we dropped What Hurts the Most because it went like mad viral.
Yeah.
Like it has over like it's like a 3.5 million streams. Yeah. So like it went nuts. And you look at the rest of our songs and like, oh dude, what Hurts the Most 2.0 was the remix of it. It's got 300,000. Lost is coming up on 200K of those. So I'm actually kind of proud of that one. But so me and Ricky met on TikTok, right? And like I never met this dude before. It was so funny because like I saw his content and was like, dude, this guy is so good. Like I love his vibe. He's into the same sort of music. And then he would see my content and feel the same way. But neither one of us, like we were too awkward to reach out to each other. So like we were just watching each other's content back and forth and being like, dang, like I would love to work with that dude. And then like I did a Seosin cover and he didn't see it, but he finally commented like, dude, we should do a cover of Voices. And I was like, oh, I already did. And he thought I was just like kind of letting him down like easily, being like, hey man, sorry, I already covered it. Anyway. But no, I wanted to work with him on something else. So then I hit him up and was like, I saw he was doing a cover of, I think it might have been like Thank You Next or something like that by Ariana Grande. And I hit him up. I was like, yo, you should let me do vocals for it. And he was like, oh, I already found another vocalist. And I was like, oh, okay. So I thought like that was his way of letting me down. So it was so funny because these things kept happening. And then like he did a cover of Lonely by Justin Bieber and it blew up. And he didn't have a vocalist for it. And I got in early and was like, yo, if you don't send me that so we can finally work together. And he was like, all right, cool. And yeah, so we did. And it's not listed under Unsafe Unsound because we hadn't named a band or anything yet. It's on the Tired Violence page. So we got in together. It did really well. And we just kind of kept working together from there. It felt right. The workflow was super good. You know, we got along really well. And then like, we just kept writing and we put together a couple songs and then we were finally like, I think this is a thing, like let's name it, let's, put out a song. And Lost was actually like the third song we wrote, but the first song we released.
Oh.
And that one's very, very special to me. It was honestly written at like a pretty low point in my life. So like when I go back and listen to it, it's really weird because it's almost like this out of body, like weird retrospective sort of experience. Cause it's just like, I hear like my delivery and stuff, and I see the things that I'm saying, and I'm just kind of like, wow, like I was not okay. But dude, it's rough. Like, but like also in a weird way, when I hear it, I'm very proud of it. And it's like the first song we ever put out together. And I love it because it's like that was our start, you know? Like other than
Yeah.
like that was our start as Unsafe Unsound, you know, not as just Ricky and Tired Violence working together. So Lost is both like very hard to listen to in a way, but like it also gives me this feeling of like nostalgia and comfort and like pride. So it's a very weird mixed bag when I listen to it, but
Yeah.
I love that song so much. Anyway, to answer your question, yes, I deviated again. I'm so bad about that.
You're
But
good, dude. You're
we
good.
we took a break because Ricky got really involved in working with Taylor Acorn, who's another artist who I think, don't get me wrong, but like got very popular on TikTok.
Yeah.
And so she got really popular and she reached out to him and was like, yo, I need a touring guitarist. And he was like, got you. And so he was just on tour. And what's so crazy is we were getting ready to like release an EP and then he got busy. So we just kind of put EP release on hold. But then he ended up touring for like months and like didn't really have like a big break. But he's coming home finally for like an extended period of time. I think tomorrow. He might be coming home tonight. He'll be home, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's it, man. Like
That's
we're
awesome.
gonna sit down, we're gonna plan our release, and there is a whole Unsafe Unsound EP coming out.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Dude, I'd work with her too. A million monthly listeners, bro. Let's go. That's sick,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah,
That's gotta
dude.
be like an opportunity of a lifetime, man.
Yeah, that's why he's been so busy. And it's not, you know, I mean, I there's no ill will. I'm not like
No,
bitter, you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? It's like I'm super proud of him. I'm super stoked. It's like, you know, this is only good for us by association, like as a
For sure.
business and as like, you know, other artists who, you know, it's like if you know Taylor Acorn, you may also know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is just good for us, man, in every way, shape, or form. And
Yeah.
Unsafe Unsound was like it was just kind of a thing that we started out of a mutual respect, a mutual love for the same thing, mutual like, you know, influences and stuff like that. And it just, our chemistry just clicked really well. But it's also an internet project. Like he lives in Tennessee now. He lived in Pennsylvania when we first started, and I live in Virginia. We've literally met in person one time.
Damn.
We,
Yeah.
we hung out for like a week, shot a music video. It wasn't even a whole week. It was like a couple days. Shot a music video, and then that's it. We've done everything else through phone calls and emails and everything else.
That's really cool. It's the
So
postal service vibes, man.
yeah, dude. And so it's just like I love that dude to death though. He's like it's weird, man. Like when you meet somebody that like you can just click with like that, like distance doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And like it's somebody who I like trust with my life, and I've met the dude one time. Like we literally share a bank account and a business and all this other shit together. Like we're in an LLC, you know, and it's like I've met the dude once.
Wow, that's sick, dude.
But
That's really cool, man, that you meet somebody so genuine.
yeah, man, he's a great dude. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met. Like one of the most like sincere and like compassionate and caring people. Like, and he's such a hard worker, dude. Like I don't know. It worked out so well, and he motivates me to, you know, be better and vice versa. So, you know, we always talk about how we have this weird yin and yang where like all the things that he's good at are the things that like I need help in, and all the things that I'm good at are you know are the areas he's lacking in. So it's like we always balance each other out, and it's like when he's doing good, I might not necessarily be doing great, but then he'll be like, "Man, I'm on the downswing," and I'm like, dude, I'm killing it right now, you know? So it always just works out to where we're always in one way or another, like furthering each other's development.
Yeah. Well, hell yeah,
So
dude.
it's great.
I threw the Cardigan song on here. That'll be the first song on this playlist.
Oh, thanks, man.
Is there another Tired Violent song you want to close this thing out with?
Ooh, good question. Let me check the discography real quick. There I am. Yeah, so I think let's do. I'm having a hard time deciding between existence and a bitter pill. You know what? Let's do a bitter pill. Let's do it.
Okay.
Screw it.
All right. And Adam, you want to get the last song and all that stuff?
Yeah, man. So let us know the last song you listened to. If you use
Okay.
Spotify, you know how to do that, right?
Yep, I do. Let me
Sweet.
go ahead and check real quick. I am on PC, not mobile right now, and I usually listen on mobile. So give me one sec.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is a little
Um,
different on PC.
It is, yeah, it's a little different. December by 100 Suns.
Nice.
Sweet. Shout out your social media handles for all the listeners so they can go check you out and listen to all your great music.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, so in most places I am at Tired Violence Band. If you don't find me there, you can also just look up at Tired Violence. I am on, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, you can find me on all those, and I'm on all the streaming platforms like Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Tidal, whatever you may listen to. So, yeah, definitely give me a shot.
And I'm not sure if you play shows or anything like that.
So not currently. It's something that I may do in the future, but as of right now, I'm not playing any shows. There's nothing planned.
Man, we really greatly appreciate your time. I know we didn't like hit a lot of songs on the playlist, but
Oh, you're
we
good.
had some great conversation, man. And
sure.
Yeah.
we greatly appreciate you giving us your time, dude.
Dude, no worries. Honestly, yeah, I'm not really sure like what I could have like added to the playlist or
Oh, you're good.
anything.
Yeah.
But 100%,
good.
I had a great time, like just chilling, talking and everything, and yeah, it was
Awesome,
fun.
Yeah,
dude.
man. Yeah, if you wanted to get like Unsafe Unsound with Ricky, just let us know, man. You're welcome back anytime, dude. And we don't
Yeah, for
always
sure.
make a playlist when we have
Yeah.
reoccurring guests. We just shoot the shit. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Honestly, I'm sure Ricky would definitely have a lot of fun making an Unsafe Unsound like band playlist. So no, it could be cool.
yeah. All right, sweet, man. Well,
Awesome, dude.
thank you, man. And I know it's late, and we appreciate you, dude.
Yes, sir.
Oh, no worries. I
Yeah.
appreciate it, man.
You have a good night, dude.
You too, man. Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
Later.
Yeah, later.